My partner commits suicide Sunday. Please help me. We are both 29. Have been together as lovers and friends forever, and 2 years ago we became a couple. We got engaged 6 months ago. Trying for a baby for 5 months and just about to finish finance to buy a house. We had our first argument that lasted 4 days about him looking at underage teens, and I said horrible things. I want him to feel guilty and shameful so he wouldn't do it again, but he knew I'd still be here for him, and we were going to see a psychologist next week. On Friday I found the girls were even younger than I thought, and we fought about it, and I said I could be pregnant. I'm scared of what could happen to their friends when they are older. I'm scared and can't believe you would do something like this to hurt our relationship. The last thing he said was, I can't come back from this. And then I went to work, came home 15 miles later, and he was gone. He went to the other side of the state and hung himself. I sent so many messages, I rang 200 times. I had all his friends and family looking for him and ringing him. I called the police. They found him Saturday and said he was fine, but he wasn't. He hung himself Sunday morning. I called the police again Monday, he wasn't home. They didn't come see me till 7 at night to tell me he was deceased. I feel so guilty. If I didn't make him feel so horrible, he would still be here. This is above Reddit's level of ability to help. Please go to a grief counselor. I'm so sorry this happened, and I wish I could help, but I can't. A grief counselor probably can though, at least a little. You did nothing wrong. This is not your fault. No matter how you had handled it, once other people knew, his guilt caught up with him and he decided he couldn't live with it. I'm so sorry. Please try and see a therapist who can help you work through your pain. You have done nothing wrong. If you or someone you know is contemplating suicide, please reach out. You can find help at a national suicide prevention lifeline. USA, 18,2,738,255 U.S. Crisis Text Line, 741,741 Text Home. United Kingdom, 116,123. Trans Lifeline 877-565-8860. Others. This is above Reddit's pay grade and you need professional help, but the only thing we can say to help is this one truth: this was not your fault, you did not do this, blame does not rest on your shoulders. Go to Psychology Today and look up grief counselors in your area. Do this today. Please take some space and look at the facts of this case. You found child pornography on his computer. Therefore, he's a pedophile. You raised very valid concerns about your future with him. He realized he's fucked and has been found out. He killed himself because of who he was, not how you treated him. This isn't your fault. I'm so sorry for the situation you're in, but please don't start blaming yourself because you'll never stop. I'm really sorry for what you're going through. I can't imagine how difficult it must be. This was not your fault. You uncovered something very distressing about your partner and you had a normal human reaction. You couldn't have known what would happen. As sad as it is, it was his choice to look at those images and to respond to being discovered by ending his life. I understand the appeal of posting here because you get instant replies and you're probably feeling desperate, but you are likely to need ongoing support from a professional to deal with this, and there are some very cruel people on the internet. You don't need to open yourself up to that right now. I'm terribly sorry for your loss, but you didn't do anything. His actions were the only wrong ones. It wasn't your fault. If he was truly a medically diagnosed pedophile, then he's been suffering from a mental illness for his entire life, and the shame and guilt built up and was too much for him to bear. You're not to blame. Suicide was his decision, and it's never one someone makes in a split second. He had to have been thinking about it before this point. You rightly yelled at him for looking at underage girls, and it's likely there were other awful things going on for him to jump this far. You need to talk to a professional ASAP. You did nothing wrong. Your partner was a pedo. Wait, hold up. Afraid of your kids' friends? You understand the family is first target, right? Advice is to be with your friends and family as much as possible. I can't imagine the horrors of losing your significant other in this manner, but I know the worst thing you can do is blame yourself. This is not normal behavior from a human being given the situation. It seems that he had some serious issues prior to you that you could not have known about. Please take care of yourself and be with people who care about you as much as possible. Eat his corpse. Please, I beg of you to go seek a counselor. Please. I am incredibly sorry for you. I am here with you. The pain will be there, but over time it will heal. This is not your fault. Please just go seek the help you need to aid yourself. Virtual hugs 24/7. You need immediate support in real life. Find someone to talk to ASAP. Counselor, grief counselor, therapist, social worker, clergy. Someone who can give professional support. Now, today. I'm sorry this happened to you, but you can't blame yourself for his actions. My heart goes out to you. This sounds way bigger than your relationship fight and that there is bigger things at play, either with his emotional state or the child porn. I do recommend calling the non-emergency number for the cops and reporting the child porn. This can be used to find victims and legality if it wasn't already reported. Aside from that, I think is way above Reddit's pay grade. Please consult mental health and legal professionals for support and advice. You and his family are probably gonna be your biggest support right now. I'm so sorry for your loss, Op. Your community may have grief support groups. My sister is currently training to be a volunteer for people undergoing trauma. Her program is called TIPS and is affiliated with emergency services, police and fire department. I'd advise asking the firefighters over the police because they tend to be friendlier and more available, as well as trained as paramedics, and trained in how to behave around people in trauma, and you definitely are that. I am so sorry. I buried a friend yesterday who killed himself. I'm so sorry. We will never hear a full answer. The most important step you can take is the next step. Talk to a professional. He was looking at teen girls? Where? TikTok? First off, I want you to stop and breath. This is coming from someone who has been living this normal for way too long. I want you to know, this is not your fault. This was his choice. He made this call. If it wasn't now, it was going to be later. He had demons and they took over. He wasn't thinking of how this would affect you. This is what you need to do. First, you need support. Make sure you have people around you. Second, tomorrow morning you need to find a therapist. If you can find one that works with family dealing with a suicide. You will never get over this, you will learn to deal with your new normal. That may sound mean, but it is the truth. But you need to know again, this is not your fault. You can do this. I hope this helps. You cannot know what he would or would not have done. This is totally on him. He did the creepy stuff that caused the fight. He apparently had a number of mental issues. It doesn't matter now what those issues might have been, as he can't work on them now. You can benefit from counseling to help you process your grief and misplaced guilt. You are responsible for your life and decisions, and the same applied to him. He chose poorly multiple times. Do not follow his example. Please accept my condolences on your loss. To take his own life is a good indication there was some mental health issues that existed already. Sorry. It's not your fault. It absolutely isn't. Either he was an actual pedophile and killed himself because the walls were closing in, or he was otherwise going through heavy mental health issues. Your job now is to grieve. It'll be a roller coaster where you'll feel every possible emotion. You need support. Shame and guilt do not do what you think they do. They don't get people to behave. Not without damage. As someone who went through a family member dying of suicide, this is not your fault. Don't blame yourself. I know how it's so hard going through this, especially if there are unresolved issues with that person. Take time to process everything. Heal. Seek out family, friends, and a therapist if you can. Definitely go to a counselor. And I know you may struggle with this for a while, but this is not your fault. It's not. And it'll take a while to come to terms with this, but I want you to always know that this was not your doing. This is a serious, and there is much more to the story. Not trying to justify or deny anything, just think there is more information and context that cannot be written in 15 lines. It is not your fault. You did nothing wrong. Surround yourself with friends and family. Seek a grieving counselor if you feel like you need it. Seek anything to get through this. Cousin reaction. You did nothing wrong. He knew he was wrong and punished himself for it. This is not your fault. It's not your fault. Sorry. Your reaction to this was normal. I don't know what this man was doing or what he was dealing with, but I remember when I was horribly addicted to porn and hentai. Someone caught me and did the same thing you did. He probably had issues that he never knew how to deal with, or felt he couldn't, and they just got worse. This just sucks, and everyone on Reddit is either justifying his non-offending pedophilia or cheering his death on. Y'all are incredibly cold and should just shut up. I am so sorry. None of this is your fault. Just in case you're still on this thread, I found this site. Sending you hugs if you want them. First of all, it is not your fault. Please go to counseling and you were in the right to call him out for looking at teenagers. Please try to stay the night with a friendie or family member and don't stay alone. You can do this. Wish you the best and it really wasn't her fault. Feeling guilty is part of the grieving process from being a survivor of a loved one's suicide. What you need right now is support. I know from experience. The best thing you can do right now is seek therapy. Call a family member or friend. This is not something you want to go through on your own. I know where your head is right now, op. Please seek help as soon as you can. I know this pain and my heart hurts for you. I'm so very sorry you're going through this, please know you're not alone. Less than 3. If you follow IG, a well-known person Love Her Love That Way at Stripper Ritter just a couple of weeks ago and she posts helpful and authentic things about her journey. Honey, his actions are not your fault or your responsibility. Even if you argued, even if you screamed or yelled at each other, even if you hated each other, it's still not your fault. You really should seek counseling. You're dealing with a lot of big feelings and grief and sorrow. Those are things that need professional help. Your partner probably had a lot of issues going on that you might not have known about. Your argument was not the cause of his choice to commit suicide. You loved him and he loved you. His personal demons and his mental health were outside of your control and even outside of your influence. It's not your fault at all. He made the decision to do that, not you. It doesn't matter what you said or didn't say, although it's absolutely understandable that you'd feel such crushing guilt. But saying horrible things that you don't necessarily mean when you find out your partner has been doing something like that, and lied about it, is a valid and completely normal response. I know from personal experience. Especially because of the family planning. The things you said to him were not the reason he chose to hurt himself. This is not on you. I hope that you can find a good grief counselor and work through these feelings of guilt and responsibility, and I am so sorry for your loss. You were doing what you thought was right. So sorry for your loss. Hope you find the help you need. I am kind of curious what she said, since she didn't write it down. It must be some hardcore shit. Having said that, Thai's words just catapulted a decision he was contemplating for a long time. People don't just go and kill themselves like that out of nowhere. You'll probably need counseling of some description. In the meantime, it's best you keep busy. Find an activity you can get lost in, something that takes your mind off the present issues. Only you will know what works for you. It is he that had the issue, not you. I know it sounds heartless, but pointing out something to someone doesn't make you responsible for their suicide. A responsible person in his shoes would be seeing a psychologist to work through his issues, not pulling the ejector seat on his life. Because of what he was doing, it wasn't your fault. You didn't want him to do anything he'll regret later on. Especially when you want children of your own. I'm sorry this happened to you. As the top comment said, go to a grief counselor. Get some help. It's very sad the situation you're in and I'm sure you don't want to go through any more pain. But the fact is, killing yourself over this means, well, girl, you already know what it means. I am sending you and your children love and, if you believe in it, prayers. He's free now. And one less little girl or boy won't be abused. I'm so sorry. Lots of good advice in this thread and I'll chime in to say seek professional help. Just wanted to repeat that regardless of the situation, whatever anyone would say, would not make a healthy person commit suicide. This is not your fault. Do not blame yourself. I know how hard it is. This is not your fault and you can't think that way. Wishing you and family the best. You probably saved some kids down the road. You did nothing wrong. I have no sympathy for pedophiles. I hope you recover from this and live in peace because you did nothing wrong.